Hi, I'm Ilan Rubin. Right now, we're going to take a deep dive into the session from my song, Living in the Underworld. Put the song out sometime last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This is my attempt to cure my OCD and do a deep dive for every song I've put out to date. I've got 2 left as of this video, this one included. So if I can cast my mind back, the initial idea for this song came from a piano that was at a video shoot for The New Regime. For those of you who don't know, The New Regime was my solo endeavor for many years before releasing music under my own name. And I was shooting 2 videos in one day for Heart, Mind, Body, and Soul, and It's Gonna Be Okay, both on my final album, pre-pandemic, Heart, Mind, Body, and Soul. And there was a piano there, so I think at one point between changing over the sets or whatever it may have been, there was a piano there. I was playing some chords, and I thought, I like that. I'm going to save that for later. So when I went about writing music that I would release under my own name the following year or 2 years later, whatever it was, I lose track, Living in the Underworld was born. As far as the recording is concerned, it's kind of a hodgepodge. I believe I did the drums, bass, maybe even piano, maybe even some of the guitar. Let's say overall basic tracking at Carlos de la Garza's studio, music friend. He's a dear friend of mine. Good man. Did stuff there. And then the rest of it was recorded here in this room. Vocals, overdubs, percussion, the rest of the stuff that makes the song tick. Mixed by Ilan Rubin per usual down in San Diego. Why don't we go ahead and take a dive in? So here we go from the verse, actually from the intro. And even before we start that, in case this is your first deep dive, this is not going to sound quite as the final master on your streaming platform of choice is going to sound. It's pretty much a committed session, meaning a lot of the stuff is baked into the tracks. I see a lot of the tracks here are frozen with stuff bypassed. I'm missing some plugins on the buses, so it's going to sound a little different. But this is more about the craft of songwriting and what I put into it. So why don't we start from the top here? This is the intro of Living in the Underworld. All right, kind of creepy. Why don't I go ahead and show you the piano that started the whole thing? Here's the progression. All right. That is keyscape as far as the piano is concerned, because I can call that upright piano out from a mile out. So maybe at some other point I recorded some piano at Carlos's. I can't recall. He's got a lovely little upright there that I've used on something. I just either can't remember or it's later in this song. Sometimes I like to do 2 different pianos because often with piano songs, you have the general vibe of the sound you're going for, but that may not work for, let's say, a higher part that needs to cut through or a lower part that needs to be a little bit bigger. So there's the piano. And what I really like about this song is that the bass and drums really just lock in. These verses don't have hi-hats on the drums. So what we're hearing is a combination of just kick and snare, some percussion, which I'll bring in shortly, but really it's about the drums locking in with the bass. We'll get to this eerie guitar part afterwards. So as you can hear, the percussion's kind of doing what the hi-hat would be doing. And of course, on the top of all that is this guitar part here, which is actually a combination of guitar through space echo and more reverb, and then a Wurlitzer through space echo and tons of reverb, bounced down, baked in to make this. So you hear the attack from the Wurlitzer, but you hear the string quality of high strings on a guitar. So that's what's painting the vibe for this entire track. I've spoken enough. Let's get to verse 1.
Strange dreams occupy my mind.
right, so this first verse, and for the second verse as well, they adhere to this structure of verse and pre-chorus, but really it's kind of like an A and a B section to the verse. Same chords, but what's propelling it forward is a change in melody and an addition of a harmony. So as far as the lead goes, it's doubled with a high falsetto as follows.
Strange dreams occupy my mind. They sink their teeth at night, but they don't let go of me. In the
Harmony.
daytime, help me open up my eyes. Subconscious is disguised, and it's acting like it doesn't like me.
So the vocal changing, adding a harmony is giving us this feeling of anticipation, like things are moving towards something. And then we get into the chorus, which is this.
Like me, I've been in the underworld. I wanna find my way to the other side. Open up those folded arms and I'll be back there anytime. Living in the underworld.
Okay, so I'm biased, but I love what this chorus does here. And what I love about it is that it picks up in pace. Same tempo, of course. Picks up, well, actually, I apparently sped it up 1 whole BPM, and it does count. So we speed up a hair, undetected by most, I would say, including myself right now until I saw it. But it picks up, and it's not up-tempo in terms of the snare kind of playing double time, because the snare is falling on 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But still, it feels like it's picking up, and it also feels like it's picking up because of these fun guitars that come in. Those are not the ones I was thinking about. 1 second. Come on, guitars. You're humiliating me right now. Like that. Definitely a DI fuzz of some kind, one of my personal favorites. And since I let the cat out of the bag with these other guitars by mistake, these have a kind of Andy Summers quality to them. There you go. That's the Andy Summers on the minor 7th there. So together with the piano, we have the following. So it really picks up, but what I'd also like to point out is what this would have sounded like as I was writing it. Okay, I always find that interesting. If somebody is familiar with what a song sounds like on album or once it's been released, but you hear what it actually sounded like as it was being conceived, so to speak, or written. So here's the piano and the lead vocal.
I've been in the underworld. I wanna find my way to the other side. Open up those folded arms and I'll be back there anytime. Living in the underworld.
Now, when I was writing it, I was not double tracking in my mind, but I knew that I would want to have this harmony. So here's what the vocals sound like.
I've been in the underworld. I wanna find my way to the other side. Open up those folded arms and I'll be back there anytime. Living in the underworld.
So that's the chorus. Then we find ourselves at a re-intro here. Re-intro, doing the same thing as the intro, but it's a slight variation on that eerie guitar melody with the Wurlitzer. So here we go to verse 2.
Voices whisper in my ear, I often hardly hear, but they make me take my steps so slowly. I can't put them in their place. It's written on my face, been in battle with my sad reflection.
Very quick verse, identical to the first with the exception of different lyrics. Then we go to chorus 2. Now, chorus 2 is the same as chorus 1 with the exception of the ending. I wanted to do something slightly grander and a little more definitive before going into the guitar solo, which is the next section. So I'm going to pick a spot here, and at the end of the chorus, notice how we add an additional hook there and some more backing vocals. So let's see how far I am here. That's where it ended the first time around. And then let's hear the extension here that leads into the guitar solo. All right, so we punctuate that ending with these backing vocals. Always a fan of stacking them that way. And then we get into this guitar solo. Let's hear this section, which, as surprise, surprise, the guitar solo is over the exact same chords as the verse. So I had to come up with something tasty and melodic so that it wouldn't feel redundant and like I was rehashing something. But there's something about ending the chorus where I ended it harmonically that wants to take me back to the root of this following verse, which I think is G minor. Don't quote me. It's G minor. Okay, guitar solo. There we have it. The guitar solo was originally half that length, but I was having so much fun tracking it and playing it that I thought, you know what? We need to double this, and I'm going to write a whole other part for it. So let's listen to the guitar solo. Now, for the music there, we have the same stuff as the verse with a couple of other elements. We have a Rhodes here, and then we have a glockenspiel. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the glockenspiel was more like a keyboard glockenspiel. But let's listen to these three keyboards together and see what those sound like. And let's just throw on the piano for good measure. Okay, so we have the piano, obviously, that was clear as day. We had the Rhodes doing the sort of eerie guitar thing that happened in the intro and re-intro. So that's what the keyboard is doing without the guitar. I didn't do the guitar there because obviously the star of the show here is the guitar solo. So The Rhodes is buried in the background, and I didn't want the other sort of ethereal guitar getting in the way of the solo. We have the Wurlitzer. We have delays on pretty much everything, but it's making this nice wash of sound. And then the glockenspiel. Okay, so I am incorrect. That was a typical glockenspiel with a little mallet, but it blends in with the Wurlitzer that when I was kind of refreshing myself, it sounded like that sort of thing. But different instruments nonetheless. So, that is the guitar solo. Now, this is a very small detail that I forgot to mention in the previous B sections of the verse or the pre-choruses. I'll play a couple of bars before leading into it, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to tell you. So the feel changes a little bit, and it's due to the piano, because in the verse, it's very tight. Listen. Then when we get to the B section, or the pre-chorus, whatever you want to call it, I elongate some of the sounds, and it changes the feel a little bit. Let's listen to that. So that changes the feel. I forgot to mention that sooner. But let's go into chorus 3, coming out of the guitar solo section. I've been in the underworld. I wanna find my way to the other side. Open up those folded arms and I'll be back there anytime. I've been in the underworld. I wanna find my way to the other side. Okay, so we have a double chorus here, and there are backing vocals and harmonies that get added to it. So if I'm not mistaken, let me unfold the tracks here just to be sure. Okay, so we have our usual lead vocal and harmony. I've been in the underworld. I wanna find my way to the other side. There is another harmony right here, which is adding this. I've been in the underworld. I wanna find my way to the other side. Open up those folded arms and I'll be back there anytime. Sounds a little dissonant, and it's kind of adding, or I should say, taking away stability from what the vocals are doing. Then we add a double to that to reinforce it. And I just want to make sure I have all of the vocals here, because as they kind of pile up into this next section, we get the following. I've been in the underworld. I wanna find my way to the other side. So we had that additional harmony come in that kind of darkened things up a little bit. Open up those folded arms and I'll be back there anytime. Living in the underworld. Living in the underworld. There are all the vocals for the final chorus, but I do want to point out how dissonant the harmony actually sounds when it's a cappella, because you don't really pick up on this in the mix. It kind of just fills things out. But let's take a listen. Dissonant. But I like dissonance. So, as in the second chorus leading into the guitar solo, we had that little extension, and we have the same extension here at the end of this final chorus into this very quick outro. Let's take a listen. That is Living in the Underworld. The last thing that comes to mind is in the double chorus, I opened up the hi-hats a little bit more to give it that feel of momentum and like something's going to happen. And what happened is the song peaked, brought it back down, and then it ended. I hope you enjoyed that. That was Living in the Underworld. Go stream it. Listen to it in all of its finalized glory, mastered on a streaming platform of your choice, and I will see you soon.